Hello everyone. In this video I want to share my story of how I became a Christian, how I met Jesus. So the long story short, um, I still should start with my parents. I had non-believers. I had non-believing parents, and my dad was alcoholic. Um, when the Soviet Union collapsed, he was a chairman of the local communal farming, and he saw how all of his ideas and all of his career is just disappearing, and he couldn't. He couldn't get over it, and he was drinking, he was smoking, and he didn't need company to use the alcohol. He could drink alone, and my mom was so desperate about this that she wanted to take me and my little sister with her and leave the two big brothers with him. And she wanted to leave because she wanted to live with him no more. And um, yeah, it was a difficult time. And but then a local pastor from Dundaga, Dundaga Baptist Church, invited my father to uh, a celebration and the service where the church would give thanks to God for 2 years anniversary since their church was built. And so my dad went there, and he liked what he experienced, and he kept going to the church. And so he joined the church, and my mom went with him, and they were going to starting though they started going to church, and I saw changes in my dad's life and character. He stopped drinking, stopped smoking, and started really um, uh, taking care of the family, and that was the start, because that was the start of my faith, kind of, because I saw that that Christian God is changing my dad, and I deeply respected that God, whom my dad was believing, because of the changes. But still, I was not interested in that God. I felt strange and cold about that, and my parents did not push me to go to the church. I was 11 years old when my parents became Christians, so they just kept praying. And when I was 16, um, there was a huge question in my life. What is the purpose of my life? And that question became so important that I simply couldn't function as a human being, as if that question is not answered. And I was thinking about committing suicide if I would not be able to find the answer, the proper answer. And I was not satisfied with some kind of quick answers. For example, life. We have life to enjoy it. For example, it was not enough for me. I needed real answers. Why am I existing. And I started believing in some kind of creator, because other options simply don't give hope of finding the answer to that question. And so I was talking to my classmate who had a very bright mind, and he was very yeah, it was very helpful to talk to him, because he could analyze everything very, very deeply. And uh, because of those conversations we had, I started liking the Christian God more, because I realized the Christian God has very high morale, very high ethic standards, because of the Ten Commandments, which I didn't know them. I didn't know all of them, but I knew some of them because my parents were Christians. But I myself felt very far from that. Anyway, when I was 18, I was also looking into philosophy, and I realized those people who do the philosophy to find the answers, they don't. They are in the same position where I was. They were asking questions just as I was, and I realized they cannot help me. And I realized, yeah, I need something greater than human being for to get the answers from. And so I asked my mom to buy me a Bible, and I was so desperate to get the right answer, um, that I was, regardless of whatever is written in the Bible, I decided I will read, and I will uh, devote my life to whatever is written in the Bible, uh, if the Bible is giving me the proper answer. And so when I was finishing 12th class in Latvia, it is like when I was finishing college. Uh, if we can compare that, I was 18, and I started studying log house building, and I lived in students' dormitories, and students' life sometimes is like like maybe there is a saying in Latvian, to break away from the chains, meaning if a cow was tied to a chain in the field and couldn't move very far, and suddenly the chain breaks, then the cow is just going everywhere because the curiosity and stuff. And students' life is like that. And my mom did not believe that I would take um, the Bible to the students' dormitories, and that I would read. But I was so desperate to find the answer uh, that I was reading, even though I was not really understanding. I read the New Testament 2 times, and I started reading the Old Testament. Yes, all the books of Moses, like Genesis, Leviticus, Numeri, Deuteronomium, and all those. Uh, it was rough for me as a non-Christian in the students' time, but I needed the answers, and so I was in the book of Job, in the middle of the first uh, Testament, Old Testament, yeah. And I was starting. No, I started having those thoughts. Uh, if I don't find a sentence in the Bible somewhere where it's written, Andres, your purpose of life is this and this and this and this, uh, then if I don't find that sentence, that definition, what will happen? Then I have no straw to hold on to. And that kind of fear was coming to me sometimes, because I was approaching to the end of the first the Old Testament, and but I was I had not met Jesus before. I was just reading Bible, and as a student, I was also talking to my mm, two other guys who were studying with me, and also I was also talking to teachers and to the to the staff people of dormitories about God, about Bible, as much as I could understand from the Bible perspective. But I was kind of the advocate of Bible and the advocate of God, even though I felt myself out of it all the time. When I was talking about God and Bible, I never felt like I'm in those things that I'm talking about, you see. And I did not know what should happen that so that I would be in those things, okay. And then I started reading a book by Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life. And that book has to be read for 40 days, 40 chapters, and one chapter a day. And so I read it like that. And when I was in this, I was in the 7th chapter probably. Literally, that book spoke to my heart. That book spoke to my 21st century mind, okay, comparing to the book of Job, which was written thousands of years ago, and I couldn't understand a thing there. Because it's completely different language, completely different culture, and completely different mindset, and I couldn't understand it. I was just moving forward 4 chapters every day with the Bible so that I could move on, even though I couldn't understand. And but this Rick Warren's book spoke to me, and it spoke to me like, you need Jesus. You need to submit your life to Jesus. You need to repent. You need to confess your sins to Jesus. And that was so simple, so easy. And I turned 19 on November 29, and I went back to students' dormitories from weekend, and yeah, I met my classmates, and there was it was a late evening. I could I went to sleep, but I couldn't sleep. And I prayed the Lord's Prayer as I could, as a non-believer, just to be, just to impress God. But I didn't want to submit. I felt like there is some pride in me, and I don't want to leave it. But at the same time, there was this sense of guilt, and it was so strong, because my sins were not forgiven, and uh, and so I stood up, and I went to the other room, so that where I was alone, and I felt what I should do to get rid of that guilt. I fell down on my knees. That was the thing that I had to do, because in my mind, if I fall down on my knees before somebody, I admit the somebody as my Lord. Okay, that was my thinking in that moment, and so I fell down on my knees, and then a prayer came out of my mouth that I didn't make up. It was just coming out of my mouth. Lord, please forgive me my sins and lead my life as you want. And in that moment, all the sense of guilt was just disappeared, and a living peace came in my soul, in me, and I realized, okay, something happened. I realized, hey, my prayer is answered because I have peace. I have peace. My sins are forgiven, and I was laying down on the floor for half an hour, and I was talking to God, and I was saying, I really I'm really sorry for all the wrong things I've done, and I was thankful and I was happy to God, that He kind of received me, and yeah, that's how I experienced first encounter with the Lord, and then so next week, um, I went to the church where my parents were. All those, I don't know, 9 years, yes, and and I kept going, and they asked me what's going on in race, and I shared the story with them, and they were curious, why am I attending regularly? So yeah, I shared them my story, and many things have changed in my life, in my soul, in my mind, in my habits. Um, the Lord has given me the opportunity to study in Baltic Pastoral Institute, which is a school made by Baptist Union in Latvia, and so I was studying that for 3 years, and also God gave me the opportunity to get married with a wonderful woman that He chose, not me, but it was a great choice of His, and we have 3 kids, and we are expecting the fourth. And right now, yeah, we are married for 7 years, and I'm a Christian for 16 years, and I have experienced many things and many miracles, like God healed my back twice, because the disc in my back was torn into two places, and the Lord healed me, literally healed me, and um, Yeah, and also several other healings that I have experienced. And I'm really thankful to Jesus that I can follow him and that I can enjoy the forgiveness of sins and enjoy his presence, enjoy his gifts of answered prayers, and it's a huge privilege and huge blessing that me and my wife we can serve to the Lord together, and we can raise our kids in faith. That is a huge blessing. It's a huge blessing that there is unity in the household, that the wife is respecting the husband, and and the children are submissive. Nothing is perfect, but we diligently try to follow this model, and and we are living in a big house that my father, where I grew up. It's a huge house. It's 130 years old. We have like 19 hectares of land, and we do woodworking. We have a sawmill. We have some carpentry and woodworking equipment, and that's our business. And 2 years ago, I came to my father's business and started taking it over, because my dad is old and he wanted somebody to continue. And I was the most practical of his sons. So yeah, that is my story. And yeah, we also we are, me and my family, we are part of Dundega Baptist Church, the same church where my parents became Christians, and the church where I let's say I was serving while I was in seminary. I was serving as a youth minister, and in the free time I was the youth leader. So the Lord has done many things, and I'm hugely thankful. And I hope that this long video was not a burden for you, that you could follow. And mainly I was making this video for my viewers to understand what kind of bird I am, let's say, because there are many prophets and there are many false prophets, and you have to discern from the fruit. And yeah, if you hear my testimony, you can discern who is my Lord. So yeah, thank you for listening, and God bless you. Bye.